Yes, everybody, welcome back to the Irish Hotspur. It's the big one, the season decider for Ange Postecoglou and this Tottenham Hotspur squad. We're going to be traveling over to Germany, and we're going to see how we can fare in the second leg of the Europa League. It's going to be all on the line here, and we're going to see how our other Spurs fans feel about this one. They've sent in the predictions. It's probably the most important channel predictions that we're going to do yet. So please, everybody, smash that like button. Follow these people over to their respective channels. And Dave, hopefully tomorrow, instead of crying into our Frankfurters, we'll be celebrating with Frankfurters in hand, swinging them about, get the beers out, that sort of type of thing. But it's a big one tomorrow. Absolutely massive.
100%. Look, I've got to the point, Jack, where I think everything about the players, the manager, Scotland, all this it's all just becoming a sideshow. At the end of the day, what I care about most is Tottenham Hotspur, and I don't care, what it means for anyone else in the club. If we win the Europa League, I just want Tottenham to be European champions once again. It's all I care about. I couldn't care less about the other sideshows.
No, 100%. And we'll see how the rest of our Spurs fans feel. Everybody, we're going to get it started off with Marlin from Spurs Kings TV. And just quickly as well, I did update the league table. Lee, the Dorset Spur, will have to hope that everyone else gets their predictions wrong because I'm not sure if he's sending in anymore. So please, everybody, do thank Lee the Dorset for his contributions. Right. And then we have Kate in second on 26. Marlin 4 points behind on 22, Dermot on 21. But Harry Scarf, a dude that has, been very consistent since he's been added into this, is catching up with the rest of you guys. He's actually done quite well, Harry Scarf. Dave and I do rate, his opinions and some of his predictions. So it's maybe not too much of a surprise there. But Harry, in case you're wondering, man, get a few more right, and you might be at the very, very top. But let's get it started off with Marlin from Spurs Kings TV.
Dave, Jack, hope you're well. It's Marlin from Spurs Kings TV. And it's my prediction for Frankfurt. Apologies for the last video, but just to throw where I was, I'm going to be playing a 7-a-side at St George's Park in September. So that's where I was at on Friday. Apologies for no video. Better than what Spurs are doing. So what's going to happen? Terrible result against Wolves. And when I mean result, you knew we were going to lose. But bloody hell, in that manner, who the bloody hell knew that we were going to shit the bed like that? Anyway, what's my prediction for Frankfurt? Well, I've been saying it from the beginning. I've not changed my mind. We are not going to Frankfurt and winning. The best I can hope for is a 1-1 draw. But I think Spurs are going to fucking mess it up. And it's going to be on Good Friday in England, where unfortunately it's bye-bye Ange. And I think it's going to be Frankfurt 3, Tottenham 2. And that's how I see it, with a late little comeback to try and save him from his job. But, it's one of them. Hope I'm wrong. I'll be supporting. I believe they can do it. Otherwise, I won't watch. But come on, you Spurs.
What was that?
Hey, we'd love for, us to prove you wrong tomorrow night, Marlon, but I think a lot of people actually might feel a bit similarly. It felt like we just didn't get the job last Thursday night. We weren't able to get what we deserved, and it's then just left the door open for this Thursday match. And everything's on the line, and I can see why you're nervous, and I can see why you're expecting potentially, the end.
Look, the reality is, Jack, we've all been around the game a long time. We've all supported Tottenham a long time. This isn't new to any of us, and I think we're all agree, that leadership is a massive problem. Away form is a massive problem. You don't just change that on the switch of a dime overnight, so we are up against it. I think many people sort of fear, and we brought this up at the time the night of the game, you can't help but think of that Liverpool Cup, Carabao Cup semi-final at home. We just didn't take enough on a day out of our opportunities, and, we end up paying the price away from home. So I think everyone realises that the odds are stacked against us. However, this football club has been known for some magnificent European nights in the past. And that's the 10% I'm clinging on to, Jack, that I just hope we can deliver another one. I get the 90% that keeps telling me, Dave, it can't be done. But you know me, I hold on to that 10%. And second of all, Marlon, you're becoming too famous for us. I seen you on I've got a video saved for later on. You were on Georgia Chilia's latest shoot. A video there that I've got saved to watch later on. Now he's playing 7-a-side at St George's Park, which is the England training ground, which is absolutely brilliant. So fair play to you, Marlon. Keep it going.
Marlon,
too big time for us soon. We'll have to start calling him Mr. Big Time.
Marlon Kavaradana, he's going to be showing the skills out on the pitch. Big up to that guy. Thanks for continuing to be with us throughout this season. We've asked a whole lot of you, so we do appreciate you, Marlon. And please, everybody, check out his channel, Spurs Kings TV. And we'll move on swiftly to Harry Scarf, who I was saying is catching up to everybody in that league table.
People, so it is Frankfurt second leg, a lot riding on this game. He would save, I think, our season. It's fair to say, if we do win the Europa League, we've got to get past Frankfurt first. A top side, third, highest scoring in the Bundesliga. They're a top side. I think we saw that in the first leg. Having said that, I think we're the better team in the first leg. And we showed what we're capable of, and it's just about consistency. And we needed, really, for me at the weekend, not that important, but we wanted to see a little bit to get behind as fans. I think confidence booster, and we didn't see that against Wolves, even despite the 6 changes in this game. I do think there's a big conversation to be had about the front three. If it's my front three, I'd have to go with the players in form rather than the profile of player. Therefore, for me, it would be Richarlison, Odobert and Tell would probably be my front three. And it's nothing against, like, for example, Solanke, I think he's struggling at the moment. Nothing against Johnson, nothing against Storm. But I think you've also got to think in this game, I think Ange's got to think of, and I'm no expert at all, but it's not just about the 90 minutes. It's not just about the best 11. You've got to think who can come on and impact the game, or what if it goes to extra time. And someone like Brennan Johnson, I'm a big fan of, as you guys know by now. And I think he can impact the game better from the bench, or as he's quiet in that first leg. That's one thing. I thought we played well in the first leg, but the front three let us down. So we'll be looking to change that. I'd probably bring a doggy in instead of Spence. Spence struggled a tiny bit recently, and a doggy's done really well in coming in. I predict us to go out, though. 2-1 Frankfurt.
Oh, well, he slept that one in towards the end there. Actually, was nodding my head towards a lot of that, actually. Some interesting thoughts from him, going with your best in form front three. Solanke's been struggling. Johnson is, like you said, maybe better in off the bench. Sonny, we know, has been struggling, just hasn't really shown up in a lot of these big games yet, Sonny for us. And, you kind of do maybe think about, would you be better off, preserving some guys that could then come on and sort of, save the tie or go on and, give you that edge. You could see a motivated Sonny coming in off the bench, and maybe looking to change things. Same thing with Brennan Johnson, same thing with Solanke. And I was nodding my head to that. I'm not sure if I would go for that front three, but I would say, like, interesting ideas from Harry Scarf.
I do think we're, with it being the biggest game of the season, Jack, I don't think it's about playing names. Forget the names. It's about playing players that are in form. That they're the ones that have to be playing for me tomorrow night. Look, I agree with him on Brennan Johnson. I don't think Brennan Johnson is a big game player. Away from home, you're going to have to muck in for the first 20 minutes, show a bit of grit and desire. That's not Johnson's wheelhouse, so I'm not sure I would start him from the off. I agree with him there. Also, a conversation prelude that we will have on the pre-match build-up, and it's interesting that Harry did bring up Richarlison because, I was looking at Richarlison's stats when he started games under Ange Postecoglou, and he's got 21 goal involvements, which is goal and assists, in 27 starts under Ange Postecoglou. With him coming off the bench against Wolves, scoring at the weekend, and Dominic Solanke not being able to hit, not being able to find the runway with a fucking airplane at the minute. If Richarlison is fit enough to start, I think stats suggest, and with him sniffing out that chance against Wolves at the weekend, that if he's fit enough to start and play a large portion of this game, I think we have to go with him. Yeah. And I think, the question that we're going to get onto, are we making too many excuses for Dominic Solanke? Is it more actually down to quality rather than service? Because, Richarlison didn't get great service, but he was always able to sniff out a goal. And I just think if we are to go through, despite him being missing for the last 2 seasons, he could be the guy to step up tomorrow night.
Everybody get those neck exercises in, because it could be the Pombo tomorrow night. It could be the Pigeon. Thanks to Harry Scarf. Thanks for those interesting ideas as well, man. I really actually liked your
one player though
pre-match analysis.
One player no one's talking about is Lucas Bergvall, which we do need to have a conversation about on the pre-match build-up yet again, because the guy makes a lot of mistakes, and you're not going to get away with that Thursday night.
He's also capable of absolute magic as well. It's hard to say. But let's go over now to Kate and Jimbo from Kate and Jimbo's channel and see what their predictions are. I think we know what Jimbo will predict, but what will Kate predict? I'm a little curious here.
Big up, Dave and Jack. It's Kate and Jimbo from
Kate and Jimbo,
here to give our prediction for Frankfurt versus Tottenham Hotspur on Thursday. Obviously, the most important game of the season, where everything hinges on this game. Jim, how are you feeling coming into the game?
Well, I feel like looking at this screen with you and me on it, I feel like I'm a real fat bastard, right? I look really fat. I don't know if it's the camera or what.
No, Dom, that's just how you look.
Oh, so you say I'm fat.
That's just how you look.
I still love you. But, all right, sorry, let's get back to predictions. I do look fat. I look like...
Just get on with it.
I look like the thing out of Blade.
Just get on with it.
I feel very good, very cheerful. I'm very happy. I think we're going to win. I just love Tottenham, even though we're not very good at the minute. I think that I'm past the hurt part. I think I'm just numb to it. I think we'll win. I think we'll go over there and give a performance. I say it every week. I said it against Wolves. But 3-1 the mighty Spurs.
3-1 it is.
I'm not feeling confident at all, and if I had to lay money on it, I know what I'd be saying. But we've only a few games left of the season, so I refuse to give negative predictions for the rest of the season. So I am going to predict a 2-1 Spurs win and us to scrape through to the next round. Let's be fair, should we lose, it's the end of the season for us. So I refuse to believe that's going to happen. So I'm going 2-1 to the mighty Spurs as well. And as always, guys, come on, you Spurs!
Hi, those two are absolutely class. But I wonder if the fact that she is right next to Jimbo, that she maybe had to will herself to a 2-1 win, whereas maybe if she was by herself somewhere, maybe she would have given a slightly different one. Those two are great. And I agree with Jim. A lot of us who are happy clappers, I'm a happy clapper like Jim is, but, I'm also a bit numb to it at the same time at this stage, with how this season has gone. But Dave, all I would say to Jimbo is maybe get on that Solanke treadmill, and then you can maybe feel a bit better about sort of the looks on screen. But I think the two are absolute class. Really love what they've done for us this season. They're very, very kind to us, and so please, everybody, check out their channel, Kate and Jimbo's channel. Anything to say to their predictions?
No, look, I'm also with Jim. I question these modern day cameras as well to a large degree, Jack, in terms of the angles and what they're actually capturing. I think they're manipulating the images a little bit, to be quite honest with you. So I agree with Jimbo on that. But no, look, I think they summed up everyone's. The way a lot of people are feeling heading into this game, right? They're well aware where we are. We're living in reality every single day, but we still hold out hope. Let's see what we can do.
Let's see what we can do. Everybody check out their great channel and those two great people. Absolute class from them. We'll go over to the Dermatron. How big will Tron go for this prediction? We'll find out.
Scary. This is Dermot, aka Dermatron from THFC Till I Die, and this is my match day prediction for Frankfurt versus Tottenham in Europa League quarterfinals, second leg on Thursday. And I'm not really holding out for much hope for a win after that pathetic performance on Sunday. It really was so bad. I mean, I'm just surprised Ange is still here as manager, to be fair. I would have shown him the door after Sunday evening. The players have no clue. The manager has no clue. But I never back against my team. This is a European night. This is when boys become men. And can we rise to the occasion? I don't think we can, because we don't do well in really intimidated atmospheres. And that's where you do find who you are as a player, when you do grow from being a sort of a Premier League player to on a different level. And I don't think we can. But look, the ever optimist in me is going for a win. I'm probably going to go for a 1-0 win and us to win 2-1 in aggregate. But will Ange, if we lose, will Ange go? Yes, Ange will go on Thursday. I think he's got no, on Friday, if we lose, he's got no job there at all, in my opinion. Going for a 1-0 win. Come on, you Spurs.
Thank you for that one, Tron. By the way, just I think you were keeping the thumb over the microphone every now and again, just something for future reference, because it was kind of fading in and out, the volume levels. But it looked like Tron is actually not as optimistic as I would have expected. I thought Tron, going into this game would have been channeling the most happy clapper juices like I do before these. I thought I would have heard a 3-1, a 4-0 or something like that. But seems to, be kind of also at a bit of a loss, with the Spurs team. And he only predicted a 1-0 win, I think, just because he's that sort of guy. But yeah, a little surprising from our man Tron.
Yeah, look, a little bit surprising. I think, the season has taken its toll on him. I think, look, after the Wolves game, whatever, if there was any positivity left into that, I think it's definitely been sucked out of people with, look, let's be honest, it was absolutely calamitous. But, I think, look, to put it into perspective, you got to take where Spurs have been in Europe, and, a lot of our exits have been away from home. A lot of our embarrassing defeats have been away from home. I remember being knocked out by Juventus under Pochettino away from home. I remember losing to Patros de Ferreira, Vitesse Arnhem. Who else have we got there? Dynamo Zagreb, where their manager's in prison, locked up, and has no effect on the game. We still managed to get thumped out there 4-1. You know what I mean? you go to this season, who's the Turkish Galatasaray,
Yeah, Galatasaray.
mopped up out there. Rangers, poor performance away from
that
home.
one was bad.
AZ Alkmaar lost away from home, very poor performance. The history is there. It tells us it's going to be a long, long evening for us. The only hope is that somehow luck can be on our side, Jack. Surely this pain has to be for something. Surely.
They're putting us through the trials and the tribulations, Tottenham Hotspur. Thank you, Tron, for that prediction. Really appreciate you, sir. Everybody do check out his channel, THFC Till I Die. And we'll finish things off with Alex Davis, the box office, filling in for this one.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is your boy, Mr. Box Office from Mr. Box Office TV, back with another prediction for you today for the Frankfurt game. Away from home, second leg in the quarterfinals of the Europa League. And my prediction is Frankfurt winning 2-1. The reason for this, when Frankfurt shoot, they don't miss. And Tottenham have been firing blanks. Guess what? Because of Ange Postecoglou. And why I've zoned out so much that, let's be honest here, let's just be honest here, Tottenham fans. If we lose this game, it'll be a full of relief for me, for lots of this fan base who just want this guy gone. And it's not just because of him. And that's all I've got to say. Because all the hypocrites that were criticising us and now jumped on the bandwagon that they want Ange out, well, you should have listened to the main event already. You should have listened to some of us that were talking the truth from the beginning. And that's all I've got to say. Coming from your boy, Mr. Box Office, the main event, the professor of truth and entertainment, the ratings killer, the people's nightmare, and everyone's guilty pleasure. And if you don't know, get to know. And that's getting real. Take that.
Take that, everybody. You absolute hypocrites. Take that. Dave, I will say this just quickly. I don't feel like, as much as maybe a lot of people want Ange out, I don't think I would get any relief, from it personally. Like, I just want Spurs to win and go as far as they can. That just is so much higher priority for me than to, see a manager get sacked. Me personally, some people have described it as a win-win scenario. I find that to be quite depressing, actually, for the most part. I don't see it as a win-win. I think it would be sad to see another manager go, even if I don't love the manager as much as I used to, when he first started out. I just want to see Spurs win games and see Spurs win trophies. That always is main priority for me.
Yeah, look, first of all, it's good to see Alex. He does brighten up my day. I'll give him that. He does make me smile.
Chuckle,
bit of credit there. Yeah, he does. But there is two things I disagree with, and that's the first thing I want to address, Jack. I think it's not going to be relief. It's going to be heartache and pain. Regardless of what it means for Postecoglou's future, I want Tottenham Hotspur to be successful. I want us to win the Europa League. Some would argue we don't deserve it this year. I can fully understand that. But at the end of the day, I don't care. I want Tottenham to win, and we're Tottenham Hotspur fans first. Let's not lose sight of that. And I'm not saying Alex is, by the way. But, at the end of the day, I want to win. You can still win it and sack Ange if that's what they want to do. I don't think they would do that. But, there's other ways around this rather than wishing for us to go out or bow out. Second of all, off Alex's logic there that you should have listened to us from the start. He thinks everything is crap that walks into this football club. Even a clock is twice right or day, Jack, at the end of the day. So that's where I disagree with that logic to a certain extent. If he was able to go, I think this is good and this is bad, I think then he can sit there and have the audacity to do that. But I think when he thinks everything is negative, like even a player when you say shit, I think you're going to hit the mark some point on the head, especially when you're a Tottenham fan, knowing how much we're disappointed. So I wouldn't be, claiming that one. I'd look at that one a little bit differently if I was him.
Thank you, people's champion.
Actually, and to prove my logic, he chased Paratici out of this club the first time around, and now he rings me and tells me he wants him back. So, you know what I mean?
Well, thank you to the people's champion. Thank you to my guilty pleasure. Thank you to my worst nightmare. Appreciate you sending that in and making this one possible. Do appreciate you, sir. Everybody do check him out. The People's Entertainment, the People's Champion. I'll pin it at the top of the comments, and we'll see you all for the Thursday festivities.
Come on.
Everybody, we got to get behind this club. We got to see if they can deliver for us. And Dave and I, we will be rooting, we will be cheering, and we hope to see you with us on Thursday night. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you fucking Spurs.